groups. Is that the sort of thing that Democrats just want to stop? Or heading forward towards 2012, do Democrats have a plan to try to equalize those numbers?
Well, first of all, it is my hope that we will end up with a majority tonight and seek to create changes in the law that we tried to do and that Republicans opposed it. We now know why they opposed even simple disclosure of corporate money in these elections. It all went overwhelmingly to them. Now, big oil isn't spending money to make sure that they have more limited drilling and not have, they want limited liability. Big banks, they don't like the Wall Street reform. Big insurance wants to continue to deny people arbitrarily and capriciously. So all of these interests are spending enormous amounts of money with the Republicans. So it is my hope that maybe there might be a rule change in the Senate and we would have the opportunity to pass some reform to this and then, make sure that the House follows suit so that at least we can have simple disclosure. That would dramatically limit the scope of it. I really don't want to play catch-up ball in corporate money. I want to be able to have public disclosure and limit the influence of these outside groups so that the people choose who comes to Congress and does the people's work versus the special interests.
Senator Bob Menendez, in charge of getting the Democrats in the Senate to stay in the Senate or be elected to it. We thank you kindly for your time, and we'll speak with you again throughout the night.
Thank you.
We'll be speaking, in fact, with Senator Menendez's counterpart on the House side, Congressman Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, in a moment. Much more ahead as we await the results from Indiana and Kentucky. The polls closing there at the top of the hour. In fact, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia closing at the top of the hour. Those are the early looks. MSNBC's election coverage continuing after this.
Introducing the 100% electric Nissan Leaf. Innovation for the planet. Innovation for all.
Well, the world's been waiting on the electric car. Maybe the whole time, the electric car has been waiting for this. The Watt Station from GE. It's going to change the way we get to where we all want to go.
At first, sure, they couldn't do enough for me. If anything, it was a little too much. But the moment they had my money, nothing. No phone calls, no feedback, no, here's how your money's doing. I mean, what about a little sign that you're still interested? Come on, surprise me.
A go-to person to help you get started. Regular detailed analysis of your portfolio. For a whole lot of extras at no extra charge, talk to Chuck.
Hi.
You know, if we had that FedEx office printer presentation, they could have shipped it too. Save ourselves the hassle.
I'm not too sure about this.
Right. Never kick off with sales figures.
Kicking off with sales figures.
I'm yawning. I'm yawning some more. And...
I see your point.
We understand. You need a partner who delivers convenience. Next time, use FedEx Office.
1, 2, boom! Woo! 1, 2.
Hello, Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us and...
Working together in all kinds of ways. Together, we are the human network. Cisco.
I mean, really, where would we be without small businesses? We need small businesses. They're the ones that help drive growth.
like electricians, mechanics, carpenters.
We strengthen our communities.
Every year, Chevron spends billions with small businesses. That goes right to the heart of local communities, providing jobs, keeping people at work. They depend on us.
The economy depends on them.
And we depend on them.
That's the outside. This is the inside of MSNBC headquarters in New York as we look at the 2010 midterms. For the entirety of the evening, we'll be with you as long as possible. Congressman Chris Van Hollen of Maryland is, of course, the chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. He's responsible for getting Democrats elected to the House. Congressman, thanks for your time tonight.
Good evening.
Yeah, we just talked to Senator Menendez, who was optimistic, as all the polls had suggested, regarding the Democrats in the Senate. Obviously, with a first-term president who is expected to lose statistically 25 House seats, no matter who he is. And under these circumstances, the numbers that have been predicted have been far higher for your first-term Democratic president. Do you have a sense yet of this evening in terms of the Dems in the House?
Well, we do. I mean, so far it's clear that the voters are proving a lot of the pundits wrong with respect to the Democratic turnout. We saw a very healthy Democratic turnout in the early vote, and today we're seeing a higher than projected Democratic turnout around the country. So this thing is far from over. I know all the Washington pundits and everybody else have said we're moving on and this thing is it's over. The fact of the matter is it's not. And, Yogi Berra said it best. It ain't over till it's over, and the fight is still going on all around the country right now.
Does turnout necessarily mean a good thing for Democrats if there's a heavy turnout from agitated Tea Party members or Republicans of other stripes? Is that necessarily a good thing for you?
Well, the turnout I'm referring to is Democratic turnout. In other words, people monitor the Democratic voters, the Democratic-leaning voters, and they're monitoring the numbers of those folks who come out to the polls. And so far, we're seeing higher than projected turnouts among Democrats. What the pundits had predicted was this huge gap, this political energy deficit, and the fact of the matter is we're not seeing that right now on the ground.
Give me one thing materially to hang our hats on that we're looking at in the next in the first set of those supposed milestone races throughout the night, the bellwethers. Is there one that you're looking at that you can share with us that will tell us where the whole night is going?
Well, Keith, there's not one bellwether district in the House races. I think you get a pretty good sense when the polls close on the East Coast, looking at places like New York and Pennsylvania. We have a lot of House seats there. By all accounts, right now we're having a heavy Democratic turnout in the suburban areas of Philadelphia. Turnout is good in New York, not just in the New York City area, but upstate as well. Right now, of course, the polls are closing in Indiana. Early accounts suggest that there was a good turnout for Democrats in Barron Hills district. We'll have to see if that materializes. So, look, you can't pick out one bellwether House seat and say if they win this or lose this, that determines the outcome. But I think you'll get a pretty good idea from what happens along the Atlantic coast. And so,
Congressman, this is Gene Robinson. The president and others spent a lot of the last month trying to convince young voters to come out to the polls. What's your indication so far of whether those young voters indeed are voting or in either the usual numbers or greater than usual numbers or less than usual numbers? What's happening?
It's a good question. It's still too early to tell. We do know that down in Tom Perriello's district there was a pretty healthy turnout in the University of Virginia area. We'll have to see how that fits into the overall equation. We know other places the president went, like Bridgeport, Connecticut. They're having a big, heavy turnout. In fact, they ran out of ballots in Bridgeport earlier today, which is obviously a good sign for Democrats. Again, look, these are obviously preliminary signs, but the early signs indicate that the pundits were wrong, at least with respect to this notion that the Democrats were just going to stay at home. Democrats are energized. They know what's at stake in this election. And we also believe a lot of those independent voters, when they take a hard look at these Republican candidates, as Bob Menendez described them, just exactly right, they are way off on the right extremes. I mean, these are people in the House races like the Senate races. Good numbers of them want to abolish the Department of Education. A lot of them want to privatize Social Security, which would, of course, be great for the guys on Wall Street, but terrible for the retirement security of seniors. These guys are not the mainstream candidates that centrist voters in these districts are looking for. So again, I know that all the pundits declared the House races over weeks ago. That's just not the case, and we remain optimistic.
Mr. Van Hollen of Maryland, Chris Van Hollen, great thanks, and it's open season on pundits from both sides. Thank you, sir.
Good to be with you.
Chris?
Let's go to Mike Pence. He's the Congressman